Okay, here we are. Greetings, Serena.
Hey, Steve. Great to
Yeah,
see you.
here we are in our studios, and we've been clocking in some long hours in our studios here, cooking up some amazing stuff for this festival. Which the whole birthing of this festival started really in the summer after our live from the Time House events, and we were just riding the wave of how cool that was all coming together. And I'd mentioned something about SoundQuest Fest when the COVID cloud clears that we would get back and do something live. And you were right there with the inspiration for a streaming version. So then from that moment till at this moment, we've been in the fast track, making it all happen with our wonderful team there, and with Eric and Danny and the big crew behind the scenes there. So,
And thank goodness, because wow, they're whipping it together.
well, we
Incredible.
we need that support, but we've been so down the rabbit hole with the creative aspect, and of course working with the artists. And but huge gratitude to you for creating and opening the door for the inspiration to go live streaming with this particular year. So we'll be back next year out in the public.
Yeah. And
Thank
I,
you.
I missed the first SoundQuest Fest, but I've heard the tales.
Yes,
So
tall tale from 10 years ago. So here we are, 10 years. It's amazing how fast time goes. So in that 10 years, you've been quite active in Tucson and in the Southwest, um, really developing your really beautiful, unique blending of acoustic and electric. And so that's something that I'm finding very unique in your work, and what really has drawn me into working with you and feeling that natural blend that you have. Can you talk about that? The way that you have drawn acoustic, very select acoustic instruments, along with very also select electronics and looping and that sort of thing, and how those two worlds have come together for you.
sure. Well, I started out playing all acoustic instrumentation, and a lot of it was just about my own healing journey, being really attracted to different instruments for their uh, for their therapeutic effect, and just being really drawn to different sounds, and so exploring instruments in that way, and then starting to go out into the world more and more with them, with recording, and also playing for different ceremonies or yoga classes, sound baths, and and then I got introduced to the world of looping and realized the infinite possibilities that are opened just through looping. And so I started bringing looping into the mix. And yeah, and then I just got even drawn deeper into the rabbit hole of electronic music and processing the acoustic sounds, and now I don't want to let go of that acoustic feel. um like, as much as possible, I like to use sampled acoustic instruments, um even within the electronic aspect.
Right, and the samples that you use are your samples, which makes it really special. I mean, the rhythms and the grooves and the sound worlds and that sort of thing that you would think of, where a lot of electronic musicians go and harvest their sounds from libraries. I know it's really vital and important to you to have the DNA of your music be woven from the DNA of your soulful connection to your amazing instruments, like the lyre, for example. There's something that happens when you play the lyre, which we will hear, and the worlds that you are drawn to in the tuning, for example. You just have this ear for tuning these instruments into these other kind of spaces in between, and it just seems to fit so beautifully with with the looping and with the half speed of looping and with all the techniques that come from looping, that for folks that don't know what looping is out there, you're essentially recording live whatever it is you're doing, whether it's acoustic or electric, into an electronic device that records instantly and it gives it back to you instantly. So you have a really unique, very organic and a symbiotic relationship with those loopers. I mean, that's something that just somehow you feel like you were just born to loop. So
Yes, you get it. I feel just as drawn to the loopers as I do to the lyre or didgeridoo or harmonium. There's just something about it. There's a kinship there. Yeah.
right, and so with your your long history, which we don't have time to go into, but with your work in the healing arts and using sound and the power of sound as a very, very strong component in your healing work that you do professionally, that's informed, I would say, informed the power of your music dramatically, because you experience the results of that on a daily basis with your clients, and how you use sound and music, in that way as a healing component for them.
Right. And it's not only for them, but for myself. It's a necessity
Yourself, of course.
in my life for my soul happiness.
Right. So I just know from working with you and helping you produce your music and the music that we're collaborating on together, that nourishment that you get from directly having these healing experiences on a daily basis really comes into the work directly. It comes into your work, it comes into the collaborative work, and it comes into your live performance presentations, the way you consider the flow of sounds, and of course the didgeridoo is a big part of your sound too, which is also a good part of Tucson there. But how long have you been working with the didgeridoo?
The didgeridoo about let's see, 20, maybe 27 years.
That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, just drawn to it from day one,
Right.
as I'm sure you were.
Yes, absolutely. And so the other piece about your garden of instruments that you have there, is that you have some really unique, beautiful instruments that have been built for you in particular by a local artist, musician, or a music instrument maker, um,
Don Walters.
Don Walters. And Don creates these, just, he's created several, like the lyre, a few lyres he made specifically for you. Is that right?
Correct. And didgeridoo.
Right. Didgeridoos and
Yeah,
and
Dord.
Dord. Explain what that is. The
It
Dord.
looks like a metal didgeridoo, or at least one of them does, and they sound like a didgeridoo, but they're actually ancient Irish instruments,
Yeah.
Dords.
And
So
so
replicas of some that were unearthed in an archaeological excavation.
yeah, that's all part of that magical blending that's going on there. That was the instrument that you used at the All Souls
That
performance.
yeah.
You used the circular, and then I had the long.
Yeah, but they're both Dords. They're both called Dords.
Boards. Yeah, the brass or the metal that it was along. The one I was playing was more of a traditional looking, but with a big flared out Tibetan sort of horn. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's all. That's just a really another very unique element that you're bringing to your work, and so
Right. And like the things like the lyres he's made for me, I mean, they don't have a set tuning, and there are different tunings that you can tune lyres to, but you mentioned the tuning before, and
yes,
just the process of divining, if you will, a tuning in the moment for a piece that's coming through is it's a very important magical part of the whole creation of the piece. Like that in itself is just as magical. Like the bringing through of the tuning
Oh,
is
there's
magical as like to me as the finished piece, because there's a part of a journey of like bringing that through. In my experience, it's really beautiful, and it's something that I hadn't really done that much of until these lyres came into my,
well, it's there's no question about when I've witnessed you just go into that tuning zone, and for quite a while you'll just kind of disappear into that process of finding the right notes. And I might have an Oberheim expander drone running, or something there might come in and out. But I mean, ultimately, when you create these tunings, they're just a world onto themselves. They just transport your awareness and your consciousness and your sense of space and place and time. It transports you to something that, like with sequencer music, is an odd parallel as that might seem. But the fact is that kind of music and that kind of using melodic patterns is a doorway to a place that I feel you only get to through this kind of thing happening here. In the same way with the lyre and the acoustic relationship of the strings and the harmonics that you create and the chords, and then you add the reverb, and you add the looping, and you add different transpositions of the loops against it, and it's just that's a really big piece that is part of your work and part of your albums, and part of our new album that's coming out a week after SoundQuest Fest. It's called Temple of the Melting Dawn, which
Temple of the Melting Dawn.
right. So that really is a beautiful example of the blending of the acoustic and the electric in a way that's completely organic, and it's not about technology per se. It's about the technology of the soul, and technology of hearing, listening deep, and letting the interface with those instruments occur. So
Exactly.
yeah, well, you have your set here is really I've got a little glimpse of that, and that's something to look forward to. So really welcome you to SoundQuest Fest, and appreciate your involvement on all the levels, and of course above all to share your music with the world through the festival this weekend is wonderful. So thank you so much for all your contributions here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.